Peace. What's going on, everybody? Give everybody a chance to scroll on in before I dive into the topic for the day. Got another light build going on today. Hopefully, you all having a solid Thursday thus far. Keeping it peaceful, keeping it powerful, keeping it healthy. Just want to touch on some light things today, man. Hopefully, everything is going smoothly for you all today. And hopefully, everything continues to flow smoothly for you all. But we want to build on kind of how to learn today. Real simple topic, real simple subject matter. Nothing complicated. Just want to give y'all a few tips, a few techniques that I feel will be useful and helpful in regards to just studying and how to learn and just how to retain information better. How to master the mind in that aspect, in that realm of things. So again, I'm gonna give everybody some time, man. Just come on in. It's Thursday evening. The first, man, it's October the 1st. So we dealing with knowledge today. That's why we diving into this topic today for the mathematics is one. So we dealing with the knowledge, the foundation, the information, the data, observing, examining, analyzing. That's all that's associated with that foundation with knowledge. So you want to make sure you always start there when it comes to any and everything. Lachelle, peace, what's going on? Sweet Tea, what's going on? Eden, what's going on? All the way from the UK. Peace, what's going on? But yeah, hopefully you all having a nice day thus far. Appreciate y'all tuning in and tapping in with your boy. Gonna learn a little bit of something today, man. Y'all know how it is. Probably gonna be a short one today. Short yet effective. But like I said, man, just building on the math for the day, man. We always want to go back to the foundation, that foundation itself. And then in regards to just mastering the subject matter, that foundation, of course, is knowledge. You got to get to the know-how. Got to gather your information and all of those things first. That's the first step. So when you striving to master like a subject matter, you always want to start with gathering the information. You really can't skip that step, of course. You got to gather the information. You got to gather the data. You got to examine it. You got to observe it. Then you can make moves based off of that, but you cannot skip that step. If you do, you are moving in ignorance, which a lot of people do. You make assumptions and things of that nature. When you do the knowledge first, you make the ability to make assumptions. You eliminate the guesswork because you have done your due diligence. You have done the knowledge. You have done the research. You have gathered the information and reached a conclusion based off of the data that you have gathered. That is how you are supposed to move. But a lot of us, like I said, a lot of people tend to skip the one. Hence, a lot of guesswork, a lot of assumptions, a lot of believing, a lot of things you don't have to believe in. A lot of these things you don't have to operate based on guesswork. You can actually know exactly what it is that you need to do by gathering the proper information. But it's a process, it's an art, it's a science. And a lot of people don't understand that. Donna C, what's going on? Jamani Peace, what's going on with you? Oh yeah, scientists say a lot of things in regards to what people are born with, but we're gonna show y'all how to it's real simple in regards to just retaining information, doing it better. Malcolm, what's going on? And we got the super chat option. So if you want to donate, you can utilize the super chat option if you want to. But yeah, Jamani, when it comes to that, man, it's real simple. What I've realized too, a lot of people, when it comes to just retaining information and doing research, a lot of people like overly stress about it. And what do I mean by that? Like they try to rush the process. You got to be patient with yourself when it comes to research. Especially if it's a topic or a subject matter that you are unfamiliar with and it can be complicated. Got to be patient with yourself. You're not going to grasp everything the first time that you encounter it. So if you're trying to study quantum physics or something like that, man, and you reading your first book in quantum physics, like you're not going to grasp everything in that book the first time that you read it. Patience. Like, stop stressing yourself. A lot of people beat themselves up over the head because they haven't retained or grasped all this information the first time that they consumed it. It doesn't work like that. You're going to grasp what you grasp the first time that you encounter specific subject matter. Now, some subject matter is easier to digest and deal with compared to others. But that's step number one. Don't stress yourself. Be patient. Be patient when you studying, when you're doing research. Patience is key. Like I said, if you're trying to study health and fitness, man, be patient. And this is where a lot of people fail in that regard. Hence why they start gravitating towards a lot of these fad diets. What happens is people like Google, blessing and a curse type deal, these smartphones. A lot of people will Google something and think that they have mastered this subject matter in a matter of like 30 minutes based off of something that they read via Google. Cynthia Wisdom Seeker, peace. What's going on? Dizzy, what's going on? And Malcolm, man, you should see the super chat option somewhere on your screen. Should be like a little $ type deal. But yeah, that's step number one in regards to just self-learning, being patient. Stop stressing. When you stress yourself, then that impedes your ability, that hinders your ability to retain the information. So when you're trying to retain information under a stressful state, it's hard to do that. So you want to eliminate the stress. Be calm. Be centered when you're consuming this information. That's going to make it easier to consume, digest, absorb, etc., all the information. And again, know and understand that you don't have to grasp everything the first time you encounter it. So if you're trying to study health and fitness, like I was just talking about, when you see something on Google and it's telling you, you need to do the keto diet, like you don't have to accept that and accept all of that evidence the first time you encounter it. You take that evidence, and then you also got to study the opposing side of it. If you come across a diet, then you got to study what makes that diet bad for you. Then you got to weigh the pros and cons of that type of research and information, and then make a decision based off of those pros and cons. A lot of people, man, they Google it, and within 30 to 35 minutes, they feel like they have all the answers that they need revolving around that subject matter. And that's not how that works. Got to slow it down. Got to slow it down. It's like we insulting the intelligence and the work that these people put in, that certain people, that the experts put in regards to certain subject matter, when we look it up and think that we've mastered it in 30 to 35 minutes or even a day. It's some people that they have been researching some of this subject matter for 20, 25 years. So for us to think that we can master it just by a Google search is crazy. Take your time with the subject matter. Take your time with it. Zucko, what's going on? Got to take your time with the subject matter. So whatever it is that you are striving to master or learn, take your time with it. Take your time with it, man. Do not try to rush it. Don't accept the first piece of information that you come across. All right, when you come across a piece of information, study the opposing side. Study another, like, again, go into the health and fitness realm. You find one diet. Study what makes that diet bad. Study another diet or a lifestyle, whatever the case may be. Just keep doing your knowledge. Just stop accepting things the first time you come across it. You don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. That's not what true research is. You got to cross-examine. So when you come across a diet, then you got to check whoever wrote that article or whoever wrote that book. Got to cross-examine that person. You got to see their resources, and you got to study the work that they did or the work that they studied. Then you got to study the opposing side. So a lot of people don't understand how deep this science can get, how deep research can get, because we tend to just accept the first thing that we come across. Got to stop doing that, man. Research, mastering the subject takes years. Mastering the skill takes years. Like, this is not something that you're going to do in a matter of weeks, in a matter of months, because everything is constantly changing and evolving. So you got to be on top of the changes and the evolution in regards to that subject matter. So this is stuff that takes years, man. You dedicating your life to this research, to this studying. So you got to choose these topics wisely. Choose these topics wisely. But in that regards, that'll probably be step number one. That'll be one of the first things that I recommend, man. Just being patient with yourself, being patient, understanding that you don't have to grasp everything the first time that you read is, like, especially when you're reading a book. I don't know how you all get down when it comes to reading books, but a lot of people really stress themselves out when it comes to reading books, which is pretty much what this video is about, how to retain information better via reading books. But a lot of people stress themselves out and beat themselves up over the head because they may read, say if a book is 300, 400 pages, they may read that 300, 400 page book and feel like they didn't grasp anything, feel like they couldn't remember anything within that book after they've closed it. That's cool, man, especially when you dedicating your life to this subject matter, to this topic. The more you read in regards to this subject matter, in regards to this topic, the more you will retain, the easier it will be to absorb, digest, consume that information. So if you read the first book and you don't grasp anything, that is fine. That's what we take notes for. We don't expect you to just read a book, close the book, and have the entire book memorized from page 1 to page 400. It's not how that works. So it's okay to read that book and be like, man, I feel like I don't remember anything from the book, or I may remember maybe 2% of the book. That's fine. That's normal. Again, that's why we take notes. That's why people highlight. So you can go back to your highlights, go back to your notes. So that's number one. It's like when you're reading, understand that you don't have to retain the entire freaking book, word for word. One of the first things that you want to do in regards to being able to retain information better via reading, one of the first things that you want to do is you want to start to ask yourself questions. You want to skim the table of contents. You want to read the back of the book, maybe read the introduction and preface. And before you get to the meat of the book, the chapters and whatnot, you want to ask yourself several questions in regards to what you want to take away from this particular book. That will help you in regards to retaining the information that you need, because you don't need to retain all of the information from this book. You don't need everything that's within that book. You only need certain pieces of information. So you need to ask yourself the question, what are the key points that I'm looking to take away from this particular book? It may be 3, it may be 5 points. Make sure you have those points acknowledged and written down before you start the book. So then that way, while you are reading, you are looking for answers to these key points. And when you come across the answer to the key point, make sure you write it down. That's going to help with retention. You're going to retain what you need. You're going to retain what's useful instead of retaining things that you may not necessarily need. Rude boy, what's going on? Oh yeah, Jamani, most definitely. We was gonna get into that, but one of the best foods to eat in regards to brain health and helping with memory is blueberries. So you want to consume a lot of blueberries in regards to just helping with the mind, helping with that mental, helping with that memory. But number 2, like before you dive into that book, make sure you have your questions written down in regards to what do you want to take away from the book. Like that's one of the first things you need to do. Skim that book, skim the table of contents, read the back of the book, read the introduction, preface, and then ask yourself some questions. Like, what do you want to take away from the book, man? What if the book is about quantum physics? One of the questions can be simply, what is quantum physics? That's a question that you want answered. You want to be able to answer that. DT, I'm not talking about a specific book. I'm just talking about how to retain information better via reading. So I'm just talking about how to retain information from a book better. But yeah, if you're reading about quantum, if you trying to master quantum physics and you got a book on quantum physics, one of the first questions that you may have is simply, what is quantum physics? Then you can ask yourself, why is quantum physics important? What's the purpose of quantum physics? How can I utilize quantum physics in my everyday life to elevate oneself? Those are questions that you can ask yourself before you dive into the book. So now you got a foundation in regards to the questions, and that will give you a purpose in regards to diving into that book. So now you have that purpose. Now you have things that you are seeking through those pages. So that's important. That's important to have those questions written down, written out before you actually dive into the book. So that's crucial. That's crucial. Now, number 3, the third thing that I recommend, and it's a few note-taking techniques that I could present to you. One of them by name is called it's like the Cornell technique. And that's basically when you take some notebook paper, divide it in half. You got one section is for your notes, and it's for your cues, and then you leave a space at the bottom, and that's for your summary. And it's called the Cornell technique, and it's probably the best technique. Rule boy, in regards to semen retention being essential for success, I mean, you don't want to overdo anything, but as far as that whole technique, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying it's necessary for success. I wouldn't go as far as to say that. But as far as the Cornell technique, when you divide the page in half, you have one section, one portion that's for your notes, the other portion, the other half is for your cues. Then the bottom is for your summary. And all that you're doing there, and this is for like each chapter. So all you doing there in regards to that technique is the section that's for the notes. That's when you write, all of your notes, all your key points, everything that you feel is essential and important within that chapter. You write that in the note section. The cue section of the notebook, that's when you take the note section and you just kind of revise it and you shorten everything. And a lot of people use analogies and whatever the case may be to help them just kind of rephrase the notes, because in the note section, you're probably going to take everything word for word from your reading, from the book. Then the cue section is when you kind of take it and put it in your own words, paraphrase it or rephrase it. Then the summary section, that's when you take it, and at the end of the chapter, the summary section is when you take all your notes, you done already revised them, and now you got all your cues, and that's when you take it and create a summary based off of the notes and the cues, and that should be maybe 2 or 3 sentences. So that's pretty helpful in regards to just retaining information better, man. You gotta treat it as if you were like in school. We know how crucial note taking was and is when we are in school. So you got to do the same thing here, but that's a good technique, dividing that page in half and leaving that space at the bottom. Take your notes, transition to the cues, then you create a summary at the bottom, about 2 to 3 sentences. And you do that for every chapter, you're going to see that you are retaining this information better, because now you have a purpose. You have a purpose for each chapter. You taking the notes, you creating cues based off of the notes, you putting everything in your own words, then you summarizing it. And you making sure that you do this for every chapter. So when you know that you are doing this, now you are looking for important things to take away from the chapter. And then you are looking for ways to word it in a way that makes sense to you. And then you are looking for a way to summarize it. So that's a pretty solid technique. Emmanuel, peace, what's going on? Now, one of the other techniques, it's just kind of related to what I suggested doing before you start the book, is to ask yourself questions. Ask yourself questions and then use analogies when you come up with the answer. So you ask yourself a question for the chapter, whatever the chapter is, You ask yourself a few questions based on the chapter. There may be 4 or 5 questions. And then once you come across your answer, you stop, you jot it down, and then you utilize an analogy to kind of rephrase it so that you can make it personal. So when you rephrase things utilizing your own words, that is one of the easiest ways to increase the retention in regards to the memory, by taking things and putting them in your own words. A lot of times we don't do that. So when you take the information, you always want to rephrase it using your own words, using analogies that make sense to you. Analogies are a good way to boost that retention and boost the memory. So always strive to use an analogy in regards to the notes that you are taking, and make that analogy revolve around something that you deal with. You know what I mean? So like if you like a sports fan, then you can create a sport analogy in regards to the notes that you have taken for that subject matter. So always rephrase the notes. So you can take the notes directly out of the book, or you can highlight it, but then rephrase it. That is important in regards to retaining that information. And then make sure you always do a summary at the end of each chapter. That's crucial. And then when you finish the entire book, make sure you do an overall summary of the entire book. So again, you got to treat everything like it's a project, man, like you're studying for an exam or a test. You know, they used to give you practice questions and practice exams and things like that, man. You got to do the same thing, which is another technique that you can do. You can even quiz yourself. So like I said, you can look at the title of the chapter, and then you can give yourself like quiz questions. And then at the end of the chapter, you can try to answer those questions to the best of your abilities. So you can give yourself 10 questions before you even start the chapter. And you can look at the subheadings and all that type of stuff, man. The little sections within that chapter, and then you can create questions based off of those. Then at the end of the chapter, you can try to answer those questions just to see how much you were able to retain. So that's another thing that people like to do, man. Create those test questions in regards to retaining the information better. But I like to just kind of keep it simple, man. To me, taking the notes or highlighting the notes and then rephrasing them, using analogies or using things that make sense to you, that's the easier way. That's the easiest way for me to retain the information. That's the easiest way for me to retain that information. But then we want to transition into what Jamani was talking about in regards to the foods that we consume, tampering with our memory, distorting our memory. Like that is also crucial. So a lot of us suffer from memory issues, and a lot of us have problems concentrating and focusing simply because of the foods that we are consuming. And obviously we know what type of foods can contribute to that. Shouldn't be anything new in that regards. A lot of processed foods, all the processed foods for that matter. Processed foods create the processed mind. Processed mind is not good for a strong memory, for a strong mind, for a strong brain. So you gotta limit or eliminate processed foods from your life. Gotta stop the processed foods, because that is making you more susceptible to developing Alzheimer's, dementia as you age. So you want to stay away from those processed foods. Even overly consuming animal protein, aka meat, can make you more susceptible to developing dementia and Alzheimer's as you increase in age. So you want to limit your intake of animal protein, meat, and of course sugar, artificial sugar. Again, like the candies, cakes, pastas, all the type of stuff that we know that we shouldn't be consuming in the first place. You want to limit or just stop your intake of the artificial sugars. And of course, like the sodas, the diet sodas and things of that nature, you of course want to limit or stop your intake of those as well. And of course, we got dairy products that could definitely contribute to that, because anything that has that toxic effect on the body is negatively affecting the mind. So you want to watch the type of foods you are consuming in regards to the toxicity level of that food. So if it's overly toxic, you don't want to overly consume it, because that can negatively affect your mind, your mental state, your memory, you being able to retain information better. So that's crucial. So with that being said, I done pretty much built on like the basics in regards to just being able to retain information better. Like, you all can let me know how you all deal with reading and note taking and things like that. Oh yeah, Mac, that I done heard that about weed messing with people's memories. I don't have any personal experience in dealing with that, but I have heard people say that. So if you have acknowledged that something like that is messing with your memory, then you definitely got to discard of that. Definitely got to do away with that. We don't want to indulge in anything. We don't want to indulge in anything that's negatively affecting our memory. So if you can pinpoint something and say this is definitely what's affecting my memory, then you don't want to deal with it. Oh, Jamani, man, the cardio that I recommend, man, jumping rope and like shadow boxing. Those are like the two best forms of cardio. And then if you can get like a heavy bag, that'll also be a nice form of cardio and a stress reliever. But I definitely recommend jumping rope, shadow boxing. Then if you can get the heavy bag, man, get some work in on the heavy bag. But shadow boxing and jumping rope, crucial. Those are the best forms of cardio to me. And then even the HIIT workouts that I put out, that's cardio. And then a light jog every now and then is also good for the memory. So a lot of people, man, just don't understand that in order to increase the memory, man, you just got to take care of your mind. You just got to take care of your mind. Again, it's a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. So a lot of us, we have problems retaining information because we don't challenge ourselves. We don't challenge ourselves. Man, try to like write some things down, man, and just try to memorize it. See, a lot of us don't do things like that. A lot of us don't do things like that. We don't challenge ourselves mentally. And that's why our memory declines over the years. It's all about challenging yourself. Like strive to master a subject that may be complicated to you, something that's different from the norm of what you typically study or indulge in. Challenging yourself is also key to building up that mind, building up that memory. Get out of your comfort zone from an intellectual standpoint. So you got to challenge that mind, man, because again, it's a muscle. And just like I've always talked about in regards to building muscle, your body, it adapts and adjusts to the stress that's placed upon it. So in order for your muscles to truly grow, you got to continue to change up your routine. You got to increase the intensity. You got to lift heavier weight. You got to do more reps with that heavier weight. You got to rest less and things like that. That is going to cause you to continue to grow in regards to your health and fitness. Same thing in regards to mental fitness. You got to change some things up. You got to challenge yourself more mentally. You got to look at it and say, all right, I'm going to strive to remember get a dictionary. Do like Malcolm X did and remember pages in the dictionary. Challenge that mind. You will be surprised at how powerful and how strong that mind is when you challenge it. You will be surprised. Oh, Mac Dad, like, yeah. When the dudes get ripped by eating noodles, I mean, it could be a lot of factors in that, man, because for the most part, they not in prison. You're not overly consuming foods like that. You're not really eating too much, like snacking and things like that. Now, granted, some of them can, but they not eating too much. And then just because they shredded and ripped too doesn't mean that they are necessarily healthy internally. Because like I was ripped and shredded back when I was like in high school and I was eating a bunch of garbage. I was eating a bunch of garbage. I just wasn't eating as much and I stayed active. So you could be ripped and shredded and still eat trash, but internally you will be suffering. DT, no, I don't eat any meat nor dairy products. And Bobby Brown, man, I'm more so at this point in my life, I'm self-motivated. I done made it an obsession. I pretty much have prioritized my health to the point where it's automatic. So I don't necessarily even have to get motivated to work out. It's something that's just a part of my life, part of my daily routine. It's automatic. And that just comes with prioritizing it. So that's the key. You really just got to prioritize your health. It's got to become as important as brushing your teeth, washing your face, taking a shower. Like you got to put your health on that level because it is just as important as those things. And once you kind of create that healthy obsession with it, it's going to become automatic to where subconsciously you don't have to wake up and motivate yourself to work out and jog. It'll be something that you automatically do. And with that is repetition. So you just got to strive to prioritize yourself. You got to figure out the why. Why do you need to be healthy in the first place? Like, why do you need your health in the first place? You probably got people depending on you. Heck, if you don't have people depending on you, you should be dependent on yourself. So you should need your health for yourself because you got things that you want to accomplish, things that you want to do. So once you figure out that why, then everything revolves around that why. So that's crucial, figuring out your why. Once you figure out that why, then that should be all the motivation that you need. That should be all the motivation that you need. Look at that why every morning. And that should be enough reason for you to get straight to the money in regards to your workouts. But you got to figure out that why, man. Why is it that you need your health? Why do you need to be around? Guarantee you we all can answer that question. We all have whys. You got to figure out that why, write it down, look at it every morning, every night. That should be all the motivation that you need. And when you do that long enough, now it's automatic. You don't even have to look at the why because it's automatic. You wake up and you just looking forward to it. And you don't even know why because it has become automatic. It has become a habit. But you got to start with figuring out that why. Why do you need to be around? Maybe you have things to accomplish. Maybe you have people to take care of. Whatever that why is, write it down. That's the reason why you need to prioritize your health. Because without the health, whatever those reasons are, you can't fulfill them if you are not healthy. You can't fulfill those reasons if your health is not there, if your health is not intact. Jay Willis, Peace, what's going on with you? And Dynasty, let's get it. Let's get that battle rope. Let's get it. That battle rope is going to be your best friend. You probably will hate it the first few weeks or so, but it's going to become your best friend slowly but surely. Once you get the timing down and all that with it. Because when I first got that battle rope, jump rope, it was kind of crazy in regards to just having to adapt and adjust to the way I had to jump. It was different. Plus, it got a little weight to it, so that just complicated things. But once you get the hang of it, you will enjoy it, especially the results that you will get via jumping. But yeah, that motivation, man, that it goes back to that why. You always want to have your why. You always want to figure out that why. That's important. That's crucial. Oh yeah, Bobby Brown, no doubt. So, and I can easily answer that question in regards to why you would look in the mirror and say you need to do it, but don't be motivated. It's the why. It's the why. Why do you need to work out? Answer that question. Like, why do you need? Maybe the reason why, like I didn't even touch on that. Maybe the reason why you want to work out or you want to get healthy is so that you don't have to suffer from all these ailments that are causing pain on people around us. That's a big enough why for me. Like, I don't want to suffer from diabetes. I don't want to suffer from heart disease. I don't want to suffer from cancer. So I'm going to take care of myself because I don't want to suffer from those ailments. That's a big enough why for me. 1228 the Great Peace. What's going on with you? So that's the easy way to answer that in regards to motivation. I appreciate that, my brother. Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be in this position that I'm in right now currently without you all. So I give you all the credit for that. I give you all the credit for this channel evolving and growing. That's all you all. So like I said, I express all gratitude and appreciation to you all. So I thank you all for tuning in and tapping in. But a lot of people do suffer from that lack of motivation, man, in regard, even when it comes to this subject matter, man. Like this subject matter in regards to doing the knowledge and reading and things like that, a lot of people lack the motivation, the inspiration. And a lot of this has to do with the educational system. That's why I didn't read for the longest. Me going through school, reading those dry textbooks and those textbooks that were miseducating us and got a bunch of fabricated information, that steered me away from like wanting to read. That killed my desire to read because I associated reading with school. So I had to separate the two. So for the longest, I just didn't have the inspiration to read because I associated it with the type of stuff that I read in school, those dry textbooks. I was like, man, I'm not inspired to read because I feel like it's going to be just like it was in school, because they gave us those fabricated textbooks, those dry textbooks, and that destroyed my desire, my inspiration to read. So a lot of people suffer from that same circumstance or ailment, man. A lot of people just lack the inspiration, lack the desire to read based off of them associating it with schooling. So in order to break that, the first thing that I did, I just started reading things that I was interested in. That's how I was able to get back into the habit, or getting to the habit of reading. I started reading things that I was interested in, that I like straight just wanted to know. So I was able to develop the habit based off of that, just reading based off of my interest, things that I wanted to know, things that I was curious about. So I started reading books related to that and related to that curiosity, those interests. And once I started doing that, then that's when I started to develop that habit of reading. That's how I was able to kind of break that lack of desire. So if you are currently in a space where you feel like you need to start reading, or you want to start reading more, then I recommend starting there. Don't start off with stuff that's heavy. Start off with some light stuff, man, some stuff that you are already interested in. You just want to know more about it. That way it's going to be easier for you to kind of consume that information because the interest is already there. So it's not going to be something that you overly have to focus on. If you don't have a habit of reading and you want to get into reading, then I don't recommend reading a complicated fitness book or reading something related to quantum physics. Don't start there. Don't start there. Again, if you interested in, let's just say you interested in like Black history or something, read an autobiography of Malcolm X. Like, start there. Don't read something that's complicated right off the rip. Start simple. Autobiographies are a good way to get into the habit of read, man. Just find some people you are interested in and read about them. Like, that's what I did. I was interested in Malcolm X, so I read about him. Autobiographies are easy reads for the most part, so you can really start there. Find some people that you've always wanted to kind of know more about, and man, just read about it. Read autobiography. Read a biography. So that's how I started off. I started reading about a lot of people, like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Huey Newton. I read a lot of like autobiographical work or biographies. And that's how I got into my habit, because at that point, what I was interested in was like the knowledge of self, knowledge of my history. So I didn't want to start by consuming books that were too heavy. So I was like, man, let me get into this habit of reading. So I just started studying people who I kind of fool with. And then just based off of that, like when I read about Malcolm, that led to me studying Elijah Muhammad. So I got Message to the Black Man and stuff like that. But it all started with me reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. Malcolm Nash, appreciate the donation. Appreciate that. Thunder Scorpion, what's going on with you, brother? Shakir, what's going on? There's always time to build. Build on the positive, destroy the negative. Y'all know how we do it. Oh, Zucko, most that if you working out and the sole intention is to get women's attention, then you got to deal with something internally. That's got to be an insecurity. And how do I know that? I know that from personal experiences growing up, because like I said, I dealt with insecurity, lack of confidence, low self-esteem. But one of the things that I always had working for me was that I was always kind of physically fit. So I utilized that to my advantage sometimes in regards to dealing with, at that time, it'd be young girls, because I was in, middle school and things like that. So I always was just kind of fit. So I utilized that for my advantage, or to my advantage. That was based off of insecurities, though. So I used to bang out push-ups and stuff like that because I felt like that was what made me me, and that's what separated me from everyone else, and that's how I got attention. So I know when dudes are out here doing that, they suffer from some form of insecurity. That should not be the reason why you are working out at all. Not to get the attention of a bunch of women and things like that, man, just so you can kind of manipulate them. So that should never be the reason why you are out here working out, man, and just try to get a bunch of women, man. I definitely don't condone that. I definitely don't condone that. It should always be something that goes straight to self, or taking care of being there for your family. Or maybe you just want to feel good. And even if you want to look good, of course you want to do that, but you don't want to just look good for the sole purpose of attracting a certain type of attention. Like, you definitely don't want to do that, man, because at that point, that's pretty childish. That's pretty childish. Because like I said, that's something that I did as a child. So that's what makes it childish, man. Like, you don't want to just be working out, trying to get cut up, get in shape just for the women out here, just to attract women. Because at the end of the day, it should be more to you than that. And you don't want to just overly obsessed with the physical. And that's what a lot of people who do that, that's what a lot of people like that do. They become narcissistic. They become overly focused on the physical, their bodies. And you definitely don't want to become narcissistic. So nah, we definitely don't condone that over here. Most definitely don't. Like, we just want to feel good. We want to be healthy. We want to be there for our families. We want to be there for ourselves, for our goals, for the things that we need to accomplish. That's why we want to do what we want to do, or what we got to do. It's another thing too. You got to rephrase that. Working out, exercising, that's something that you have to do. It's a necessity. It's not something that you want to do. It's something that you have to do. Something that you need to do. If you don't do it, you opening yourself up to a lot of ailments, heart problems, all these cancers, diabetes. We got enough research, enough information out here that lets you know that exercising 20 to 30 minutes a day decreases your risk of developing all of those ailments in which I named. Just an actual fact. Osteoporosis and all of those type of things, man, just everything that's negative. Exercising decreases your risk of developing all of those. So exercising is crucial. Eating right, eating clean, crucial. And a lot of times we overly focus on one or the other and we don't balance it out. So when you are eating clean, you got to work out with it. You working out, you exercising, eat clean with it, so you can get the full benefit. Stop just working out extra hard thinking that you're gonna burn all of those bad calories. Stop doing that. You can't outrun that bad diet, as they say. You cannot do that. That is not how that works. That is really not how that works. And there's a lot of science behind that, which I will tap into and explain in later videos. But you cannot outrun that bad diet. Not at all. Not at all. Like that is just, it is not that simple. It's a little bit more intricate and complex than that. So a lot of times I really don't like when people say that. Like, oh, I ate bad, but see, I'm about to burn it off. And then they get on a treadmill and be on a treadmill for like an hour, or they go running. Like that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're doing at all. Hence why a lot of people who do that do not achieve their goals, do not accomplish their goals. So we got to stop thinking that we can outrun that bad diet. And again, that bad diet, that bad lifestyle ties directly into the state of your mind, the quality of your mind, being able to retain information. Again, dementia and Alzheimer's. Lack of exercise makes you more susceptible to developing both of those conditions. So exercise in and of itself protects the mental health, protects you being able to retain information better, protects that memory. So the more you exercise, the stronger that mind becomes. The more healthy that mind becomes. The more healthy that memory becomes. So exercising is crucial. Do not go a day without getting some form of exercising in, whether it's light stretching. It could just be 20, 25 minutes of light stretching. And you will be good. You will be solid. So you don't necessarily have to go hard 5, 6, 7 days out of the week. You can go hard 3 days out of the week. And then the other 4 days could just be something like light walk, light stretching, light body weight. And you'll be good to roll and repeat. But you want to do some form of exercise, 20, 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week. We all got that. We all got 20 or 30 minutes that we could dedicate to some form of motion. So that's real crucial. And then with stretching, if you do stretch, if that's what you choose to do for the light motion, then I recommend doing that before you like lay down, before you go to sleep. That's when I recommend stretching. But yeah, exercising is important in regards to just protecting the mind, protecting the memory, and developing the mind, developing the memory. So you want to get your exercise in, you want to get your motion in. Motion is medicine, movement is medicine. Like we got to stop relying on their medication, and we got to go to nature. Nature's medicine, and it's motion, it's movement. Fruits, veggies. It's the herbs. That's nature's medicine, and we got to start embracing that more. Yeah, Zucko, like I said in the previous video, if you in that gym, I give you an hour max. If you in a gym or if you working out longer than an hour, then you just playing around. Like there's no need for you to be working out longer than an hour. So you got about 10 minutes for your warm up, 10 minutes for your cool down, some light stretching after the workout. So that's 20 minutes. That gives you about 40 minutes to do the actual meat of the workout. That's more than enough time. That's more than enough time, because you shouldn't be resting the longest that you can rest. And this is only if you are like strength training, lifting very heavy weight. Then that's when you can rest for like 5 minutes in between sets, from like 3 to 5 minutes. But if you're not lifting extremely heavy weight to the point where you're only able to do like 1 to 3 reps, then your rest time should be no longer than 2 minutes. No longer than 2 minutes. So when you resting for about 30 seconds to like a minute between each set, like, man, you should be done about 30 minutes. 30 to 40 minutes, you should be done. But a lot of people be playing around, man. A lot of people be BSing when it comes to working out, man. They be taking those extra long rest breaks. And that's the main thing that I see, those extra long rest breaks. Got to stop doing that. Get right to the money. Move, move, move. Stop taking those extra long rest breaks. That's not going to help you in regards to your goal. Got to keep moving. You will have plenty of time to rest after the workout is done. That's your rest time. Your rest time shouldn't be while you are actually working out. Nah, your rest time is after the workout is done with. You work out for an hour, you got 23 hours of non-workout time. That is rest time. Bobby Brown, yeah, yoga is crucial. Yoga can help with the brain, help with the mental as well. Yeah, but yoga is crucial. Yeah, I can definitely recommend and suggest yoga. And again, like I said, I recommend if you can do some like yoga type poses, stretches, and all that type of stuff like before you go to sleep. And that's if you suffer from like some sleep. Like I know I have trouble sleeping, so when you stretch and do those type of things before sleeping, it like helps you sleep better. But yeah, exercising is crucial, man. But you shouldn't be in there for 2 hours. You shouldn't be in there for an hour, 30 minutes. If you in there for that long, you playing around. You're not serious about it. Lock in, zero in, focus, concentrate. That's part of achieving your goals as well. Concentration. Got to concentrate. You got to visualize. All of that stuff is important. Like all of that stuff is important in regards to you attaining your goals, man. You got to sit there and you got to visualize the type of body that you are aiming for. You can't do that if you're not focused. So you can't be in it. You can't be working out staring at your phone. Put that phone away, man. Visualize, man. Get your playlist going. Put the phone up. Get straight to the money. That phone will be there after the workout is done. Can't have distractions. That workout should get 100% of your attention and focus. That's why a lot of people, when I used to train at the gym, a lot of people didn't like to bother me and come up to me because they said I look focused. So a lot of people, man, they didn't bother me. They didn't come up to me while I was working out. And that's how you got to be, man. You got to be zeroed in. You got to be tapped in. You got to visualize, concentrate, focus. Focus on the goal. If you trying to put on 10 pounds of muscles, when you work 10 pounds of muscle, when you working out, you got to visualize that. When you doing those curls, you gotta look at that arm. You gotta look at that arm. You gotta look at it, command it to grow, as CT Fletcher would say. Oh yeah, Thunder Scorpion, most definitely. That's why I have a lot of issues with dudes in the gym, man. They at a machine for 30 to 40 minutes. It's like, come on, man, we gotta go. You shouldn't be at that machine longer than like 3 to 4 minutes. Oh, down to see, I got a lot of stretching videos that I'm gonna do. The first one I'm gonna do is for the back. I got a solid stretching or yoga type routine for the lower back. I'm talking this will have your lower back feeling fabulous. So I'm gonna do one for the lower back, but I'm gonna do a lot of stretching videos. A lot of people have some conditions. A lot of people lower backs are struggling. A lot of people have knee issues. A lot of people have issues with their shoulders. So those three areas, I'm gonna definitely have a lot of videos revolving around stretches targeting those areas: lower back, knees, shoulders. Yeah, the Scorpion, they be messing with that playlist. That's why you need to have all that sorted out before you start your workout, man. You should already have your playlist created. Just put that thing on shuffle and put the phone away and get it in. Because next thing you know, you looking down at this phone trying to find a song and 5 minutes then passed. Now your body has cooled down. Like, nah, you want to keep it hot. You want to keep it warmed up. When you cool the body down, you setting yourself up for injury. So that's what resting for too long can do. It can make you more prone to injure yourself because the body is cooling down. Then you trying to go right back into what you was just doing. It's not good. That's the whole purpose of a warm up. Once you get that body warmed up, man, you got to keep it at that temperature level. Resting for too long cools it down, makes you stiff. That makes you more prone to injuries. We don't like injuries. In Bonafide Bloom, what's going on? Most definitely self-help, do it yourself. I love both of those. And that's what life is about for me. Hence why I made this video. I'm the type of person that I'm going to dive into a subject myself. I'm learning. I'm a self-learner. So I'm going to teach my things. I'm going to teach myself things. Like, I'm that type of person. So a lot of people have come to me and asked me, like, how do I retain information? How do I, memorize things and this, that, and the third, because they are the same type of individuals. I'm not going to go to a lot of classes. I'm not going to watch a lot of videos. Like, all of my research is done via like books, articles, and things like that. So I'm old school in regards to how I retain my information, how I get my information, real old school. So if I want to learn about something, then I'm gonna do the research to it. I'm gonna grab some books and I'm gonna put my head in those books when I want to learn something. And I'm gonna go find some articles. Like, I'm real old school with my approach in regards to gathering information. Because I honestly believe that's the best way. The old school way for me is just the best way. Because it's too easy to be misled out here, man. I feel like when I control that information in regards to just reading books on the subject matter, like, I do better that way. Like, when we start Googling stuff, man, it's just overwhelming. It's just overwhelming, man. So that's why I just do the knowledge the way that I do the knowledge. Do my research the way I do the research. Books are my best friend. I just cross-examine, cross-reference, and things like that. So I'm all about doing it yourself. So if you want to learn something, research it. Like, that's how I am with it. If you want to learn about something, research it. Master that subject matter. It's not hard, not complicated. Just takes time. Just takes some patience. But whatever it is that you want to master, whatever it is that you want to learn, you have the ability to do that. You have the ability to do that. Don't let anyone else convince you otherwise. Because I've taken some very complicated subjects, and I'm not going to say I've mastered them, but I've been able to gain an understanding of some of the subjects, some complicated subjects like quantum physics. I was able to just start studying, and I don't have any background in physics. I'm business and I'm fitness and things like that. So I was able to take quantum physics, did some research on quantum physics, did the knowledge to it for about a year or two. And I was able to gain a solid understanding of like the basics or the foundation of quantum physics. So that was a challenge that I had for myself. I said, man, I'm about to study quantum physics and see if I can grasp it. And I was able to do that, get a basic understanding of it. Same with this fitness stuff, man. Like, it's easy to work out, but when you start studying fitness, kinesiology, and things like that, anatomy, that becomes complicated. Like, people don't understand how complex like anatomy is, kinesiology, even nutrition. Like, that's a complicated subject. That's a complicated subject when you start talking about the molecular structure of carbs, proteins, and fats and stuff like that. That's complicated. That stuff is complicated. That's why I tell people they don't understand how intricate nutrition actually is. Like, it's a straight science. Oh, but yeah, most definitely. Yeah, when you go to sleep reading, when you read before you like lay down and go to sleep, that also helps with like retaining information. Like, that helps with retaining information as well. When you read right before you go to sleep, that helps subconsciously. So that's a pretty good technique. Oh, Shane, peace. What's going on with you, brother? You logged on as I'm about to log off, but it's all good. You already know you can always replay it, and you're gonna catch plenty of other lives. You already know it. I'm glad you just tapped in and tuned in when you had the time to. But with that being said, man, I think we've tackled this subject pretty nicely, pretty thoroughly. I got people I got to go train. Y'all already know how the story goes here. I got people that I got to go train, running through the ground. Got to go do my duty, handle my business. So you all have a peaceful Thursday evening, man. This was a nice stream, nice live once again. It's always a pleasure, man, interacting with you all. So y'all have a peaceful Thursday evening. Y'all eat y'all some healthy food tonight. Y'all read a book or something. Read a few pages for me, for your boy tonight. Build on the positives. Destroy the negatives. Y'all know the slogan. Y'all know how I go. Y'all be easy out here, man. Peace.